Good morning, everyone. I usually get the graveyard shift at this time, so it's unusual to have so many faces. So I'll try and be brief. Hopefully, this will be interesting because what we're doing here is looking about where we actually are in the industry at this moment in time. So everything I'm saying is it's really completely Irish-centric. So I suppose it's good to understand why we're doing this body of research, why the Construction IT Alliance decided that they needed to expand their research scope and go back into this particular area. Because while this roadmap is established and it's out there at the moment, there's no funding behind it. And so it's up to the industry, which has been evident here from the excellent presentations given by a number of people, Callow, Mark and Geraldine and John, that the industry is striving forward despite there being no funding. So the Construction IT Alliance have come out with a body of research that they asked myself and Dr. Alan Hoare and Professor Roger West to initiate. And what we've done is we have tried to aim this around the roadmap to try and get some answers that are needed. So for example, we've created a BIM in Ireland umbrella forum, which we'll discuss, which is bringing all communities of practice together and kind of getting a message out in unison. We've done a macro adoption study, so gauging exactly where Ireland is at this moment in time. We've had an educational update with case studies, a standards update with case studies. We have contributed to the MBS survey. We've done some strong research in the Digital Centre of Excellence, which I'll go into today, so that'll be quite interesting for some people that have a keen interest in this particular area. And we are hoping to publish the BIM in Ireland report, preferably before the gathering this year, to kind of get a bit of momentum going in. So the fourth update I wanted to give, this is the fourth meeting that we had. So one of the ideas was to have an umbrella forum. So we know that a lot of communities of practice are out there. We know there's a lot of subcommittees. They're doing fantastic work and they are communicating with each other. But this just offered another avenue. And so what we do is have a meeting once every 2 months probably, and we try and get all the representatives together and try and get a message where we can feed back to show some of the strong work going on. So within the BIM regions, there was an event there recently hosted in TU Dublin. There's going to be a Western event coming up pretty soon, and GMIT on their construction day also had a BIM Western group or event as well. The CIF have the BIM starter pack released, so these are all free documents, free to download, as well as that the DigiCon conference coming up. We know that the NSI are doing significant work. They also have a mere body set up to look at the RAA BIM pack, which I think is being led by Rob Moore, if I'm correct. As well as that, they're also looking at other aspects of how information is submitted onto the building management portal, and potentially looking at more ways and innovative ways such as IFC. So there's a postdoctoral scholarship in that as well as the Mirror, the National Annex, the Mirror Committee. Public sector had their hackathon, so all the presentations, information is up there. That was a huge success. The Royal Institute of Architects will be releasing their second BIM update pack September this year, and it's going to include information on guidance for small practices. TAI had the Dun Kettle interchange being designed by Jacobs and BIM, and a Lewis Depot extension project to include office accommodation being initiated and delivered in BIM. And as well as that, a collective consortium came together and created a report which was presented to the CSG on what the Digital Centre of Excellence should entail and potentially what will happen. And we'll actually get onto that today because some interesting slides. We did a macro adoption study. We're lucky to have one of the authors here, Dr. Mohammed Qasim, so it's great to have him here today. So I have to be careful on what I say because in case I kind of mix anything up. But what we did was we looked at 2017, we did this, where Ireland was, the country, to where we are now, 2019. And there's some interesting changes, not massive, but substantial changes. So what we have in here is this model, and that looks at BIM fields against capabilities. And what we're seeing is that within modeling, collaboration, integration, we're always strong in technology. You know, we are one of the kind of top areas in the IDA for attracting investment. But we started to move towards processes and policies that back this up. Not wonderful, but a move which is substantial to where we were in 2017. As well as this one looks at what the key elements of a successful roadmap are. And what we have seen is a nice jump in here in objectives and milestones, as well as regulatory framework. And that's coming in because ISO, and as well as the roadmap. This one looks at how the industry, how this is ran. Is it coming from the government as the main supporters? Is it coming from bottom up, which is kind of, let's say, the industry itself, or is it coming from larger contractors and bigger consultants? And what we're finding is that we're middle out specifically, and that hasn't changed, and the big contractors are still ones driving it in that respect in big agricultural practice. One over here looks at what kind of policy we have. Do we have a passive, assertive, or active? So what we were was completely passive for 2017, and if you look at the UK, they're very assertive. So you're looking for somewhere in the middle. While we're still quite passive, we have moved to some active phases. And the final one is looking at who are the leaders in this particular area. And I suppose the interesting one is that despite the initiatives from the roadmap and the government mandate, that the education institutes are still seen as the main policy leaders, and there's actually been a reduction in 2017 value to 2019, saying that people are still seeing the policy kind of makers still taking a step back. While the likes of the technology servers have kind of got a grip, firmer grip within the technological sector, and then the likes of communicative practices are really kind of driving the policy side of stuff. We've also provided an update on the educational setting. So what's quite interesting in the education is that it really is kind of consistently evolving. If you look at the Leinster area, TU Dublin have the MSc in BIM. It's Applied Building Information Modern Management. It's the only MSc out there in particular BIM area, and it's after winning the Irish Construction Awards this year. And it's a real kind of trendsetter within the Leinster area for BIM, and it's always developing. But it's not just TU Dublin. Carlow IT are also introduced a level 9 BIM certificate that has 20 people coming through this year. Then down, if we look within the Munster area, GMIT, which Mark is an external lecturer, is one of the most renowned courses within this particular area. It's won multiple awards and has strong links with industries such as RPS. Limerick IT are doing work in BIM and NSEB. Tralee have courses, and Waterford are also in the particular area of offering a BRE certification to all the students that come through under level 8. So there's a huge amount going on in this particular area, and also within the Connacht area as well. Sorry, I include GMIT and Munster there, but the Connacht area as well. So there's a huge going on as well as up in the north with Ulster University and Belfast Metropolitan. One of the things that we were keen to do is that there's a lot of talk about a centre of excellence for digital construction. And there has been, as I discussed, a proposal made to the CSG based on a consortium of people of what this should entail. So what we decided to do, Dr. Alan Hoare and Professor Roger West, in a paper to be published hopefully at a conference now in September, is we wanted to look at, well, what constitutes a generic makeup of what a digital construction centre of excellence should entail. And then what we want to do is we wanted to marry that with what a management framework for Ireland would look like for this centre, and come up with strong recommendations that could potentially be used in any digital construction centre moving forward. So this is a generic paper, it's non-biased, and it's just making kind of obvious statements based on research. So the first thing we looked at is, if actually I go back, is we looked at 7 different institutes. Where we looked at was the Centre for Digital Britain, Construction Scotland Innovation Centre, Georgia Tech, Centre Integrated Facilities Engineering, Stanford, Global BIM Centre of Excellence in Hong Kong, National University of Singapore BIM Institute, as well as the Australasian BIM Institute in Australia and Hong Kong. So by bringing these 7 together, we were able to start to establish some key themes, and items started to become involved. So the first thing we looked at was, what would a mission statement involve? So we just did a simple thing. We rounded up all the mission statements for all 7, and we found out that the key words that are coming out are digital, research, innovating, design, practical, and data. Now what does that mean? Okay, we already have a kind of mission statement for the centre, but what we're saying here is that when we do have it up and going, that any mission statement realistically has to look at the ideologies behind these words and what they mean. So what does digital mean? What offerings are we looking at? What's research? What innovation products? what's the design? Are we targeting the whole construction sector or a particular area? So this mission statement here is just kind of sounding out keywords that represent key areas that need to be looked at. And then we look at what services are offered. And predominantly, while each one offered different services, what's been offered is we can break it down into 3 key areas. There's usually a research centre, which is focused on driving research. There is a guidance sector, which is looked at providing guidance to the industry. And then there is a education, I forgot about that. The education, which is looking at offering particular educational courses to the industry, so such as 2 or 3 day workshops, conferences, and then that kind of going back to the other one, what I meant by guidance is someone that's coming in and next for being readily available to come into an industry and help them and being over the phone and being able to answer. So these are the 3 key particular areas that have been defined between all the centres we looked at. So then the next thing we looked at, well, what's a successful partnership model? What should that involve? So we came up with 4 models, okay? The first one would look at a digital sector of excellence established within the university, with links established with government. The second one would look at a digital centre of excellence in a strategic partnership between 2 international universities. The third model is the centre of excellence is a strategic partnership between government and academia. And the fourth and final one is hosted in an independent organisation with links to academia, industry and government. So the 7 that we looked at all represented different avenues in that prospective model. So then we looked at what the funding model would entail with that. So then the first funding model looked at, for example, your centre of SciFi over at Stanford, where it's established within a university, or it's co-established with 2 universities such as Asian BIM University, Cornell University and China. And they seek funding internally or they seek funding from external kind of partners, and what they then do is use that to offer a branch of research. So they're not kind of completely dictated by funding within governmental, but they can seek it internally and as well as also outside through industry. So once they're set up, then they can start offering products to the industry, like say, come forward to us with a research problem. We will look to solve it, and hence where the funding comes from. The second one looked at, in the case of Digital Britain Centre, okay? And what that looked at was that they've been set up within a university with the purpose of executing the UK strategy. So they're receiving funding, and then they're dispersing it within the industry. The final one was something like in the Scottish Construction Centre, where an external body has been set up, and they are being backed by government, being backed by industry, and they are then delivering a number of products on top of that. So each partnership corresponds with a different potential funding model. So this is the kind of framework we came up with. We also looked at services offered. So for example, the UK have a research bridgehead, which is bringing researchers and industry together, as well as a digital twin hub, which is an online environment of bringing everyone together as well. And they also offer innovation vouchers. Same with the construction Scottish Innovation Centre. They have their BIM and practice program, which is quite successful, and it offers kind of an industry, they kind of subsidise it, and industry come in and kind of fail by it. So what we have in here is just a simple mission statement, the branches, the different partner models, the associated funding models, and then setting the achievements. So it's nothing too fancy, nothing too captivating, but what it does represent is some intelligent and obvious kind of linking of established research centres and what would be expected in regards to any potential model, not just for Ireland, but for any digital centre of excellence. And what we did then was we looked at the management framework proposed by CSG, and then we married that with this framework and said how the two would work, and we made some recommendations. So the paper will be out hopefully soon, so we'll be able to kind of give a summary of the paper regardless of being waiting for publication. So we kind of other elements is the NBS survey that's now available. So if you want to follow that link, there's a particular section on Ireland. As you can see, it details some of the barriers as well as some of the advantages. So that's something interesting. And there's 2 pages written on how it compares with Ireland. So it's kind of, I think one of the key lessons is that we are quite strong and we're not too far behind the UK, and we're really kind of nipping at our heels in regards to some of the kind of maturity models where we're at. So that's my perspective today, so I hope that was interesting and So look, you all know me by now, my email, phone, give me a call if you want to discuss or I can help in any way. Okay, thank you.